Hey everyone, it's June 9th, about 3:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We got the 4-hour chart of Bitcoin, BTC, USDT on the Binance Exchange. First of all, the video is not investment advice. The video is done for educational purposes only. And I just want to talk about a couple things real quick. First of all, the market, if you've been watching my videos, is kind of moving more towards a horizontal plane. And I do think that's because we had the bubble and now we're just returning to normalization. Normalization is just basically the base for price to either continue to drop from or continue to push up. Now, I do think that it's continuing to push up because we have a 6,000, 6,400, and then possibly about a 7,000 bottom showing a series of higher lows. Now, in my prior videos, I've also talked about, let me just talk about this real quick, the arches, the series of arches. So price, every time it's making a run now, it's becoming smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, moving to this point of indecision. So that's how I can logically assume that that's what we must be doing, because we can see this on the chart and the price action. Now, volume has been dwindling in this area. I've been talking about in the past, like I think 3 or probably 4 videos now, that price has been basing out. I put this purple box there. The purple box is not for like trading purposes, like, you know, sell here, buy here, or blah, 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 whatever, you know, channel traders do. That's not the purpose of it. It was just put out there. It just so happened to work from the point that I drew it, and it's still holding true. I still think we're going to maintain this basing pattern. You know, there's going to be volatility in the zone, but what price is trying to do is find that bottom, like the same way I found that bottom at 6,400, and then maybe progress higher as long as some zones are not invalidated. Now, we've broken through some downtrend lines showing that we're breaking through that selling pressure. The selling pressure is slowly relieving. The buyers are starting to somewhat win this battle, but volume continues to drop. We're now at 3.8 billion, where I started reaching like 3.3 or 3.4, something like that back at that bottom. But what it ultimately leads to is if less and less participants are coming into this market every single day, okay, because we're dwindling on a daily basis, then this market is completely shackled to manipulation. Meaning that if we do not get a big buyer or multiple big buyers in this market would naturally, more than likely, either drift horizontally or at a subtle incline like so. Now, we all know the sad story. Every time the big green bar, green candle, whatever chart you're watching happens, we already know what to expect. All right, there's going to more than likely be a run if it sustains itself, and then price is going to topple over. It happens time and time again. You know, you got 2 big iterations of that. You got a couple of small iterations of that right here and right there. But we can see exactly what happens from this manipulation. The manipulation is due to big buyers coming in, artificially inflating price, selling out, because guess what? They start at the bottom. They started at the bottom and now they're here, and guess what? They dump it all into you, and then you get to ride the reverse of Drake's song. So, and it doesn't sound good, right? So anyways, as price drops, the guppies become the bag holders, and they get completely annihilated and decimated, and they chase price back, and then it happens all over again, you know, at time after time after time. So if price breaks below about 69.80, price is going to continue dropping lower. The high for Bitcoin to get over, as long as we hold the uptrend structure, is 9,990. If we cannot break 9,990, we are going to move to more than likely another smaller arch, smaller than this area right here, meaning that we're going more horizontally, therefore proving that price is going through a stage of normalization, which ultimately leads to a bigger base formation. That bigger base will either give price the energy to completely, you know, flush down the drain or take off to the upside. I do think that if we do that on an increase like we are, then I think the probability is higher that we move up into the future, okay? So I'm not necessarily like trying to call for the demise of a market or the end of a market. I'm hoping that does not happen. I know people that are personally trading this. You know, I trade in it with my subscribers as well too on a daily basis, in and out, and a lot of people rely on this market. You know, a lot of people have a lot of money tied up in this market. So the last thing I want to see is any market disappear that you could make money off of. It's definitely hard because this market obviously relies on heavy manipulation. And if that manipulation was not there, we would not see the wild swings we see in price, because the guppies are not are not big enough to move price the way that it is when you have this single big investor or multiple big investors enter this market. And that's why we keep seeing this series of arches forming, okay? But anyways, so that's pretty much it. We're basing out. We're going to continue to base out. Not much, exciting is going to happen. We're going to whip back and forth in here. People are going to get excited due to the volatility, and they're going to get beat around like they're in the washing machine, and that's exactly what this is. Just imagine a gigantic washing machine of investors, and they're just going to be churned around and churned around. Volume is dropping, so it's not a good sign when price is going up. And as price has gone up, volume has dropped the entire time. We started down in here, if I remember correctly, like towards about 6 billion, and now we're all the way to like 3.8 billion as we increase. Now, anybody that's been trading for a while knows that's the last thing you want to see is price increasing while volume is decreasing, meaning less and less participants are willing to buy at these levels. Well, guess what happens when demand starts dropping and supply is going up? Well, supply has to follow demand. It's just the basics. But and that's what makes me think we're going to continue to base out in this range. If we do skyrocket to the upside, it is more than likely going to be by one buyer or multiple buyers creating yet another big green candle or bar. And guess what? We all know that sad story and how it's going to end, okay? And if that's what this market is coming to, then guess what? You're going to see even more people leave this market. And I've already had tons of people leave comments, in various locations that they're done with this market. The manipulation is just too much. They don't want to be whipped back and forth. They're going to go somewhere else, the stock market or, elsewhere to invest their money. They're not going to waste their time here. And, that's the unfortunate, sad story when you start to see blatant manipulation in a market, okay? But that's it for today. I pretty much outlined everything I could for everybody. If you do enjoy the content, you like everything, please like, subscribe, follow, depending on what social media platform you're on. I do thank you for your time, your support. If you've not joined the Slack channel, that's absolutely free. Over like 300, I think it's almost 350 members now, all over the world, cryptocurrency oriented. Everyone's extremely friendly and helpful. It's just a nice environment to be in if you're interested in cryptocurrency, which I imagine you are if you're watching these videos. My website is geometriccharts.com. At the bottom, I have my social media links as well as the link to my Slack channel. If you're looking for something more in depth, like where I talk about specific entries and exits and stops and things like that, about Bitcoin and various other cryptocurrencies, as well as stocks, commodities, and Forex, I do have a subscription service too. You can read more about that at geometriccharts.com. And other than that, I hope everybody has a great day or great night, and I will talk to everybody tomorrow.